Once upon a time, there was an old king who had only one son. As the king felt his end approaching, he called Faithful John, his most devoted servant, to his side. Faithful John had served the king for many years, knew every secret of the court, and had always been loyal and true. Because of this, everyone called him Faithful John. The old king said, "My faithful John, I feel my life ending. My greatest fear is not death, but the thought that my young son may rule foolishly or fall into danger. I entrust him to you. Be like a father to him, guide him, protect him, and keep harm from him." Faithful John replied, "I shall serve him faithfully, even with my life and my blood." The king then said, "There is something you must know. Bring me the curtain that hangs before the great hall." John obeyed. Behind the curtain was a painting of a princess whose beauty was beyond imagination. Hair like pure gold, eyes like shining stars, and a face so radiant that anyone who saw it would fall in love. The king said, "This is the princess from the Golden Roof Palace. If my son sees this painting, he will fall in love at once and risk his life to reach her, for the journey to her realm is full of danger. Promise me you will never show him this picture until he is wise enough." Faithful John promised with all his heart. Soon after, the king died, and the prince became king. Faithful John stood by him as counselor and protector. But one day, the young king noticed sorrow in John's eyes and demanded to know the secret the old king entrusted to him. Faithful John begged him not to ask, but the young king commanded, "Tell me, I order you." Bound by oath and loyalty, Faithful John finally revealed the painting. Once the young king saw the princess, he fell deeply in love. "She shall be my wife," he said. "Take me to her, even if the journey costs me my life." Faithful John knew then that fate had begun to unfold. Faithful John prepared a magnificent ship filled with precious wares so they could disguise themselves as merchants. After many days at sea, they reached the land where the princess lived in her palace with the roof of pure gold. John brought golden cups, jewels, and fine cloths to the castle. His goods were so dazzling that word reached the princess. She sent her maidens, but John insisted the items were too precious to carry around. The princess must see them herself. Inside her chamber, John displayed the treasures so cleverly that the princess was constantly drawn to the window, where she saw the young king on the ship. Her heart stirred. "Who is that noble man upon the ship?" she asked. "A merchant," John replied, "possessing goods finer than all the ones I have brought." The princess wished to meet him. John hurried back to fetch the king, who entered the castle disguised as a merchant. When their eyes met, both king and princess knew destiny had linked them. They spoke together long into the day, and soon she agreed to see more treasures aboard the ship. Once she stepped onto the deck with her maidens, Faithful John ordered the anchor raised. The sails filled with wind, and the ship slipped out of the harbor. Only when the land had faded into a line behind them did the princess realize she had been carried away. "You have deceived me," she cried. The young king took her hand gently. "I am no merchant, but a king who loves you. Come with me and be my queen." Her heart softened, for she had already fallen in love with him. She agreed. That night, as the moonlight waves glimmered, Faithful John heard a rustling above. 3 ravens settled on the mast and spoke in croaking voices. John understood the language of birds. The first raven said, "Good fortune to the young king. He brings home the most beautiful bride." The second said, "Yes, but dangers await. When they reach shore, a magnificent red horse will be brought to him. If he mounts it, the horse will fly into the clouds, never to return." The third asked, "How can he be saved?" The first replied, "Someone must mount the horse first, take the pistol from the saddle, and shoot it dead." The raven spoke of a second danger, a wedding shirt woven with poison. If the king wore it, he would turn to ashes. It must be seized with gloves and burned, yet whoever explains why will turn to stone up to the heart. Then came the third danger. During the wedding dance, the queen would suddenly fall as if dead. Only someone who lifts 3 drops of blood from her breast and spits them out will save her. But if he explains this, he will turn to stone completely. The ravens flew away. Faithful John trembled, knowing he must save the king even at the cost of his own life. When the ship landed, servants brought the splendid red horse foretold by the ravens. The young king admired it, but before he could mount, Faithful John leapt onto the horse, seized the pistol, and shot the creature dead. The king cried in anger, "What have you done, Faithful John?" John replied only, "My lord, trust me." Soon after, the poisonous wedding shirt was brought. Faithful John grabbed it with gloves and threw it into the fire. It burned to ash. The king was furious, believing John had ruined his wedding. At the wedding feast, as the couple danced, the queen suddenly grew pale and collapsed as if dead. Faithful John sprang forward, lifted her, and removed 3 drops of blood from her right breast, spitting them out as the ravens had said. The queen revived instantly. But the guards seized Faithful John, believing he had attacked the queen, and he was sentenced to death. At the execution, John said, "I will tell the truth, though it will cost me my life." He explained the danger of the red horse. His legs turned to stone. He explained the poison in the wedding shirt. Stone crept up to his chest. He explained the danger of the queen's collapse. His entire body turned to cold gray stone. The king fell to his knees, weeping bitterly. "Faithful John, my truest friend." He placed the statue in his bedchamber, mourning each day. Time passed. The queen bore twins. One night, the stone statue spoke. "Bring your sons. Their blood will restore me." The king trembled with horror, but Faithful John had sacrificed everything for him. So he brought his 2 sons and laid them before the statue. As the stone requested, he struck off their heads and smeared their blood on the cold statue. At once, Faithful John returned to life, whole, warm, breathing. He said, "My king, your sons are not lost." He restored them with the remaining blood, and the children awakened as if from sleep. The king, queen, children, and Faithful John embraced, tears of joy flowing freely. From that day on, Faithful John served the kingdom more devotedly than ever, and no man was ever more trusted, more honored, or more loved. And the kingdom lived in peace for many years.